world. My name's Rena Ejiogu, and I am the face behind this Instagram account and author of the book, However We Can. I am so excited to be live with you right now. My goal here is to create a space for sharing, unscripted, raw, completely from the heart. It's a space for those who have been affected indirectly or directly with infertility, miscarriage, infant loss, and child loss. It's a space for those who have been, It's a space for those who are looking to learn about experiences different from their own. And it's also a space for those who might need some perspective. In all honesty, everyone is welcome here without judgment. My ultimate goal with this platform is for us to talk and to continue talking so that together we can redefine and normalize infertility and loss. When going through infertility and when suffering a loss at any stage, the road can often be dark and sometimes isolating. I'm here to let you know that you are not alone. Each episode, I'll be going live with a special guest to simply share our stories. The more we share, the more we learn, and the more we learn, the more we grow, and with growth, we can redefine. Welcome to the first episode of Saturday Shares. I'm so excited to introduce my first guest. Let me get him here. One sec, technical. Let me make sure we can get him on.
Hello.
There you are.
Can you see me?
I can see you now. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Wonderful. Yay. Welcome, babe.
Rena, you're doing it. I love it.
So Instagram world, this is my husband, Uche. If you have read my book or are good friends of ours, you will know our story. We were in and out of fertility clinics for 8 years. It took us 8 years to complete our family. We were in and out of fertility clinics. We've gone through IUI, IVF, Clomid, surrogacy, you name it, we've done it. And today is also a very special day for us. Out of everything that we have been through, included in all of those procedures, we did suffer 7 losses. And our last loss was the birth of our daughter, Ashton. I delivered her at 18 weeks. And today is her birthday. So we wanted to honor her by starting Saturday Shares. And Uche, I'm so glad you joined me as our first guest. Never did I think we would be live talking about our personal experiences, but here we are.
Yes, I'm so proud of you, Rena. I just wanted to start it with that. This is really an emotional day for both of us. So I'm so proud that you're here, starting this new path, looking to help other people is absolutely fantastic. Let's dive in.
Thanks, babe. You're so sweet. So again, my goal here is for others to share. Now, this is going to be difficult because we have a similar story, and you know me, I talk a lot. So as I mentioned, with everything we've been through, what we wanted to focus on today is Ashton, because it's her special day. Because out of everything we've been through, that was the most traumatic experience we've had. We are still growing, learning, moving through it. So I was just wondering if you could touch on your thoughts and your experience with the loss of Ashton.
I mean, it's very triggering to go back and talk about what happened there with Ashton. My memory of everything is totally different than yours, and I've kind of explained this before to you in the past, but I have the different feelings, the emotions of that loss, the actual details of the situations that we kind of lived through. I don't know if it's a coping mechanism, but I've kind of blocked a little bit of that. I remember, certain details that we do have, but it's more of the feeling that we went through that really triggers it for me. And it's very hard for me to describe, all of the details to the listener. So I'm doing my best. to recall. But basically, what happened is, obviously all the treatments that we've been going through over the years. When we were, had Ashton, and it was said that, okay, you guys are pregnant. The treatment worked. I was so elated. I was like, finally, yes, we're gonna have the family that we wanted. 2 kids. This is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted. We can stop with the trials and tribulations of trying to get pregnant through infertility, um, the treatments. We were finally there. So I had this feeling, just this relaxed feeling that, we finally accomplished everything that we wanted. All those years of trying and the heartbreak that you've been going through and all of the things that you were going through, I finally felt like this was it. This was the end of all of it.
That's, I think, what I felt too, because we had been going through treatments for so long and kept going to 2 different clinics. And at this point, we were 6 years in.
Yeah.
6 years in. And with her, it almost felt like, because, so she was IVF, that was our second round. She was IVF and our first implantation. She was a fresh cycle. And I got pregnant right away, and it was progressing normally. And so I think both of us, what you said, I definitely thought, sweet, this is it. We're done. We don't have to go through anything anymore. We did it. I felt like we could breathe a sigh of relief almost.
Yeah. Totally. I felt that.
It's interesting to me what you said about how you don't really remember all the details, that you more remember by feeling, which again is interesting to me because I'm more of the feeling and emotional one out of the 2 of us. But yet with this, I remember every single detail of what went down as if it was yesterday. I don't know why. Maybe that's my coping mechanism, or maybe that's what happens with trauma, is you remember absolutely everything. But yeah, can you talk more on the feelings that you get?
So now looking back at it, a lot of the feelings that I get from just kind of remembering Ashton, it's hard to say, but I have this feeling that, she's still with us. I don't know how to describe that. I just know that she's still with us. She's still part of our family, and a strong part of our family. It's something that, we've never really hidden from, our kids. So they know. And everything that we try to do in the house, it's always in memory of Ashton as well. So, now looking back, I just have this feeling that, exactly, right?
Her camp.
Yes. And, the colors that we have, the flowers that we have in front of our house, we always representing. And I love that so much. It just ties it all in together. But at the time, there's so many emotions. Just, the situation being in Hawaii when all of it went down. Obviously, we were in transition as well. We were moving from Canada to the U.S. Just a lot of stress was happening during that period. So, but now I do feel, that Ashton is part of our family. She's always here with us. I feel a little bit of comfort in that we haven't, tried to hide, what happened. So I'm really happy that, we did it this way, the way that we have done it. And it's just a good feeling to know that, we can honor her still, and she's part of our family, and we know this, and instead of trying to hide something and feel, some shame or something about the experience. So that's really how I feel about it all.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think since I've been able to open up about our experience, and writing my book was very therapeutic last year and got a lot out, I think my messaging has been, you are not alone. And that is what I want anyone going through infertility, anyone who has suffered a loss. Again, I'm going to say at any stage, because whether you lost your pregnancy at 5 weeks, whether it was 18 weeks, whether 30 weeks, a loss is a loss, and it's really painful. So when I say we're not alone in that I want to offer support to people, what's ironic about our situation is when we did lose Ashton, we were alone. We weren't together. So I'll just give everyone a really brief summary of what happened. We had got permission from our doctors to travel. With any pregnancy I've had, I've always been put on rest or modified rest. I've always had high-risk pregnancies. But we were going to one of our beautiful friends' wedding in Hawaii. We got permission from the doctor to travel. We got, everything was good. The pregnancy looked great. And there was one day that I just felt some pressure down below. Now, for the female viewers, think of like a really strong period cramp. It was something like that. It was nothing that would alert me that I needed to get checked, but it was just this constant pressure. And also for anyone who's been pregnant before, when your belly is expanding, how your muscles stretch, it was kind of like that too. Like I just thought I was stretching. Fast forward, long story short, my cervix completely dilated without any signs or symptoms. And the baby, we had to deliver the baby. There was no way to save her. She was essentially half in, half out. Her little feet were hanging out, and unfortunately, there was no way they could save her. Now, she did have a heartbeat through it all, but I had to have my labor induced. And while all this was going on, again, we were at a wedding. It was the rehearsal dinner night. Anson was 2.5 at the time. So I was rushed away in an ambulance. You were with Anson. Speak to us about being separated in a situation like this and how you were able to get through it when we weren't together. And I know we had Anson to kind of keep us in line because we didn't want him to see what was going on. But with me relentlessly telling other women and couples and men that you are not alone when you're going through infertility and loss, our most traumatic experience, we were alone. Yeah. So speak on what happened from when I got taken away from the ambulance from you.
Yeah, so Rena got, swept away in the ambulance. I had called 911. Obviously, the ambulance came, got Rena situated into the ambulance. And obviously, Anson was with us. And we, at the time in Hawaii, we had a roommate that was staying with us. But he had gone to the rehearsal dinner, I believe, right, Rena? The rehearsal dinner.
The other condos first.
What's that?
He went to the other condos first
in preparation to go to the rehearsal dinner, right? And so he had taken the rental vehicle that we had all were sharing. So it was just myself and Anson, and the hope was that we would be able to ride with Rena in the ambulance. But because of Anson's age, he needed a car seat to actually be in the ambulance, and we didn't have that. It was in the rental vehicle, and so I'm not sure. This is where all of the logistics, I can't remember it, but I just remember having that feeling like, oh my God, we won't be able to ride with Rena. And then right away, it was just like, we don't have a car. How are we going to get to the ambulance, or how are we going to get to the hospital to be with Rena? So this was really just kind of crisis mode. I'm freaking out, but I'm trying to keep it all together because Anson's with me, and so it was a big deal. And luckily for me, our friends' family that had invited us to the wedding, they basically took over everything and just kind of created, this plan to get us a vehicle so that we could get to the hospital. Rena, maybe you can talk a little bit about how that all rolled out. But I remember receiving a phone call. I believe it was from Carly's mom. I'm not sure, but it was from somebody, and they were like, Uche, we have this handled. We're going to get you the vehicle, and then you're going to be able to see Rena in the hospital. And I felt so much I just felt so loved in that moment. It's like, wow, they came out of nowhere to help us in this situation of need, and that's what I remember from that initial period there.
I mean, that's family right there.
Yeah.
So Kelly and I have known each other before we were born, I'll say. Like, our parents have been friends for years. And I actually didn't know that that's how you got connected with the car. So that was really, I felt really glad that you had that support, because when you're going through it, I don't think you realize the effect on other people around you. Because for me personally, I'm so tunnel visioned in what's happening to me and happening to my body. I completely didn't even think how upsetting that could be to, you know, our supports or other people around us. And I actually just started realizing this probably within the past year and a half. The more that we have opened up about it, I'm hearing other people's experiences and how upsetting it was for them. So I remember while you were on the phone with the ambulance, I actually called Carly to let her know we weren't going to make it to the rehearsal dinner. She put me on the phone with her mom, who is a retired doctor. And that's kind of how that went. I have no idea what happened as far as how they connected you.
I know.
But I also was in the chaos that ensued, because, oh man, the ambulance couldn't fit the gurney in the condo. They had to call the fire department. I was carried out by 4 firemen. Like, it's a real crazy, like,
yeah, like in a blanket, I think it was.
Yeah, because I wasn't allowed to stand, so they left me laying and they carried me out in a blanket. But
yeah,
where was I going with that? I forgot now. Anyway, anyway, the support,
the chaos of it all.
The chaos of it all. Thank you. I left my phone back at the condo, so I'm in the ambulance with a wonderful gentleman who was so supportive and was very honest with me that, you know, he point blank told me that if it was the baby, that, you know, just a heads up, they wouldn't be able to save it because of how, like, gestational age. Apparently 20 weeks is the cutoff when doctors will try and keep a baby. She was 18. I didn't have a phone, so I didn't know where you and Anson were. I didn't know when I would see you again. I didn't know what was going on. We had an ultrasound done, and the ultrasound, we've had enough to know, like, I know what an ultrasound looks like. And it looked like an hourglass to me, my uterus, which I knew was wrong, but I saw her heartbeat. So as soon as I saw her heartbeat, I thought, okay, we're going to be okay. Everything's fine. Then you and Anson showed up, and I always described myself as like a Jekyll and Hyde around him at that time, because I was one way with him, and on the outside, you would never know what I was experiencing on the inside, because I didn't want my little man to know anything was wrong, right? So that was hard. But then, speaking of being alone again, just like we thought we were together, we get wheeled up to obstetrics, OB, and what are you told, babe?
Anson is not allowed.
Anson's not allowed. Kids are not allowed in labor and delivery. Mm-hmm. So now that we just got back together, you're being told that we can't be together.
Yeah. Yeah. So from there. Yeah. So once again, our family, friends came in huge. We called them up. I don't know where they finished with the rehearsal dinner. They must have been finished with the rehearsal dinner at that point. But we were able to find childcare for Anson. And I had to drive back to the resort. So keep in mind, it's 45-minute drive there and back. So Rena's alone waiting for us. No way of communicating with anyone. It's just, yeah, I just felt despair. I'm just like, we made the arrangements to get the vehicle to come to the hospital, and now I have to turn around and go right back. I felt like I was going right back to the start, where I couldn't be there for Rena when she needed me the most. And I just remember feeling this pit in my heart, in my stomach, just not feeling just not feeling like I'm supportive for Rena during that time. But at the same time, I was so grateful and thankful that our family friends, our family, made all of these arrangements for us in the back. It's still to this day, I'm just, overwhelmed with, emotion, just kind of thinking about everything that they were able to do for us in that moment.
I mean, we're forever connected normally, but this incident, I feel, solidified my love.
Oh, it strengthened everything.
Strengthened everything.
Yeah.
Adele, Rochelle, everyone who branded, everyone who helped that day.
Yeah, Jared. Yeah.
Jared, everyone. It was a lot, and you really made it, I'll say, bearable because you were able to get Uche and I together. So you were able to finally make it back. It's interesting. You said that you were in despair, and I'm trying to think if I felt that way when you weren't there. And I think for me, despair might not, it might not be a strong enough word. But I think more for me, it was, why is my body doing this again?
Yeah.
Like, I was really hard on myself. And support is a big deal when you're going through infertility loss, because if I didn't have the care team that I had when Uche wasn't able to be with me, it would have been way more difficult. They were very supportive. They talked me through. My nurse held my hand. The doctor said that he talked to several other specialists. They really were trying to do everything they could for us. But in the end, I had to deliver, and I delivered her at, I'm going to say 10:46. It's 10:46 or 10:47 p.m. And literally 3 minutes later, Uche walked in. And I remember looking at the clock, and I just think of the situation I was in and what you must have walked in on. Do you care to elaborate on that part?
So before I left to drop off Anson, we had the ultrasound, and we saw the heartbeat, and for me, I was really optimistic in that small moment. I was like, okay, heartbeat is there, everything is fine. Maybe they'll a miracle will happen. They'll figure out a way to make sure that we don't lose the baby. And so this is what I was thinking. I was trying to keep these positive, vibes, these positive thoughts in my mind while I was driving Anson back to get to Jared and Rochelle. And so when I was coming into the hospital, I had a lot of hope, and as soon as I came into the room and I saw you, I knew that was not the case, and so I just instantly felt crushed. My worst fear had happened. And you mentioned to me, she's over there, and
that's all I can say.
Yeah, in that moment you were so sad. I your voice, just pierced right through me, and I knew instantly. And I went over and I saw Ashton for the first time. Yeah.
So, and then for me, when I saw you come in, I felt a bit of relief because finally you're here, and I don't have to be as strong as I've been this whole time because I could just be you. But I was also bitter and angry and mad that we were in this position again. And I couldn't believe that we would ever be this statistic. When we have on our first date, we talked about something we have wanted for a long time. And I was so upset and gutted, and I don't even know. It's hard to describe those feelings when you're in the moment because it's just such despair. Like, you are just pulled to the darkest of darkest spaces, and there's nothing you can do about it. And when you walked in, I felt a little bit like, oh yes, he's here. Like, I felt like I could just let go and just be, and you would be there to take care of me. But then when all I could say was, she's over there. And I mean, I remember my tone. It wasn't super nice. Like, I was just like, she's there. You walked over to the bassinet and fell to your knees. And I've never seen you like that. Through all of our losses, again, we went through 7 losses. This is the one that I haven't seen you in that role. Usually you were picking me up, or it became very real that both of us were puddles on the floor, and that this was a different event, and that this is traumatic, and this is going to take some time for us to get through. Now, dealing with the trauma we've learned, both of us dealt with it differently. We've also heard, some people tell us, oh, how did you make it through? You guys are so strong. And, some couples, when they're put in stressful situations like this, like infertility and loss, they don't make it. So I'll speak for myself. I feel like we got stronger. How are we able to navigate through all of this as a couple? How are we able to be where we are today and still supportive of each other without blame and without, how did that happen?
That's a fantastic question. Fantastic question. I don't know. I agree with you. I think every loss that we had just brought us closer together. We just became more cohesive. Your wants and your needs and all of your desires, I felt so married to all of that. You know what I mean? It just felt like your path was my path, and we were on the same path.
Yeah.
And we could get there together. And I really believed in that. There was never once that I faltered in that belief. And I think that's what really did it, is we had clear expectations from the start, and we kept, the belief in each other, and we knew that we would be able to go there. I know there were certain times, I forget what happened, where I kind of said, "This is it. if we don't have a kid after this, this is it. We're done." And Anson, just having Anson alone is good enough. I remember saying that to you, because I think we were at 7 years at that point when I said that.
It was after losing Ashton, and so for me, after every loss, how I coped was by figuring out our next step. And
yes.
Right away, I already had our next plan and next treatment in line, whereas I think you needed a bit more time to marinate on things and go through your feelings maybe, and just take a breath, whereas I was go 24/7. I think what happened with putting your foot down was smart, because I think I got in a point, I don't know if obsessive is the right word, but when I want something,
You need it.
I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
That's nature, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. But again, that goes with, I don't think I realized the impact of my actions on you. And it wasn't until, it was when Melissa, a friend of ours, offered to surrogate for us. You pulled me aside and were like, it's not every day we have a surrogate. This is our last chance. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm done. And you just said, I'm done emotionally. I'm done financially. I can't do this anymore. And I had to respect that. Again, I think it was 7 years in.
7, yeah.
7 years in. So what can you have been a phenomenal supportive husband. You always have been. I hope I've been a supportive wife.
Of course you have.
Well, it's hard because you have typically been in the supporter role, because it's my body going through it, and I don't know, I think we support each other, but it's different. So as a supporter, because it is really important that when you're suffering a loss or when you're going through infertility, that you have a support system. So 100%. What can you say to other partners or husbands, wives, people who are more of a supporter? how can you give them advice on getting through things?
I mean, I say, I talk about this in the book, my section in the book, but I really want everyone who's kind of going through this, um, really to take a step back and just kind of understand that, you know, the person that we're with, our partners that are going through this, we have hopes and dreams, right? We have hopes and dreams of the outcomes of you know, the treatment and what we're going through. And the number one thing is just to be there, to be supportive, to listen, to care, to be open to dialogue, and just be supportive of your partner. That's the main thing for me, is that I always wanted you to be able to be yourself, and to open up to me and to tell me what you're going through, and that I was going to be there to support you through whatever it was, right?
Right.
In my mind, you know, that's the deal. That's what we signed up for when we have this relationship, and I was willing to go to bat for you every single time. It's just, you know, after you know 7 years of this, I had to express to you how I was feeling.
Well, and I think that's important too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, speaking on us as couples, I'm definitely the communicator. I can talk forever. I'm very good at
girl.
my feelings and wants and this and that. I think what's important to say too is our communication shift. I feel that we became way better communicators with each other, and I think that's important as well. And to notice that, yeah, it's not one-sided. Just because you're batting for me, I have to make sure your feelings are looked after too, right?
100%. Yeah.
100%. So I'm gonna wrap things up, but I just wanted to thank you, babe, for being my first guest on Saturday Shares. If anyone is interested in being a guest, hit me up. Again, this is simply a sharing platform. It is up to the guest. I know it seems like I was directing this one, but it's because Uche and I share the same story. It's up to the guest what we talk about, how much we talk about it. Again, it's just creating awareness and letting everyone know that infertility and loss is a very important thing to know and understand, and that it is happening, and it is happening a lot. Next week, I do have another guest lined up for Saturday. I will post it in my Instagram as well as on my author page. The time will be a little bit different. If you haven't already, go check out my book, However We Can. It explains in detail mine and Uche's journey. And also, one last thing we mentioned early, today is our baby girl's birthday. She would have been 7. We have her candle burning bright, and we always honor her on our special day. So happy birthday, Ashton. Mwah. Wish you were here. Thanks for joining, babe.
Thanks for having me, Rena. I'm so proud of you.
Thank
this
you.
is fantastic. I know you're going to help so many people, and I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, hon. I really appreciate you being number 1. All right, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Saturday. Bye.